the problem that we have right now is we keep going back to the same formula and the same argument over and over and over again. And anybody who believes in the Constitution is losing that argument. And like you take the gun people and the dope people, let me take the pro-gay marriage people and the religious people. I believe there happens to be a connecting dot there that nobody's looking at, and that is the Constitution. The question is not whether gay people should be married or not. The question is, why is the government involved in our marriage?
That's the huge insult to churches. It's the huge insult to gays. It's a huge insult to love, is the fact that and it was pushed upon us. I mean, we didn't want that. You know, the idea that the government should be involved in love, when you state it that way, is completely insane. And when you know, my friends, many of my gay friends would say, "Are you for gay marriage?" I would go, "No, but I'm also against straight marriage." You know, my wife and I wanted to raise children, and we went to lawyers and said, you know, we don't want the state involved in our marriage. And I could not find one lawyer. And, you know, we had funds to talk to different lawyers. I couldn't find one lawyer who could guarantee me that I could have, if something horrible happened to my wife, that I was guaranteed custody of my children. You know, if she were to have a horrible accident or something, her family could come in and they could contest it. And so we are married. You know, we got married, you know, at a drive-through in Vegas. Cost us $300 because we spent $20 for the flowers, and $300 wedding, and in order to make sure that our children would be properly protected with us. And the government has built this whole thing. And once again, you know, I think every problem we have, we should say, can this be accomplished with more freedom instead of less? And gay marriage is the perfect example of that.
Well, we
can solve the whole thing with just more freedom.
But well, here's the problem with that. The reason why people on the right won't listen to that is because we've been duped a million times by progressives, because they're not into more freedom. There are many things that we have done in the past. We're like, you know what? I don't care. I'm not trying. Okay, they're handicapable. Because I don't really care. I don't want to hurt anybody. I am fine. Whatever. Live your life the way you want to live your life. It's none of my business if it neither breaks my leg nor picks my pocket, as Thomas Jefferson said. What business is it of mine? However, when you get into the gay marriage thing, as most conservatives will tell you, that's not the agenda. The agenda is to shut down my freedom of speech and my belief in what you don't believe in, but I do deeply, the Bible. So I'm going to live my life the way I believe. That's freedom of conscience. And I have that right to do that. And if you don't believe it, have I ever talked to you about the healing, saving power of Jesus Christ?
Just now.
Okay. I'm not going to try to baptize you. You are who you are. Yeah. So whatever. I know it.
But by the way, it's also fine for you to do that. You also know you could talk to me about that, and I wouldn't split.
Right.
I'll hear you out.
I happen to believe you live your life in such a way that if people will look at it and they'll start to go, what is it that's special about you? Then I'll talk to you, but you and I don't have that kind of relationship, and that's totally fine. But you're not going to hammer me for it, and I'm not going to try to build some theocracy to get you baptized. We almost had it with Mitt Romney. The point is what we need are people who, on the traditional, I don't even know, libertarians. We just need libertarians and people on the right to understand that you're a libertarian constitutionalist first. You're not a Republican. You are a constitutionalist. And if you stand with the Constitution, and then you find other people who may disagree with you, and they stand with the Constitution, are you going to allow somebody to shut down my church?
No, of course not. Of course not.
And I'm not going to stand there and let somebody shut him down. So if we can find people to turn the argument and say, what business is it of the government, which takes away their power and increases our power,
I
the
also
people.
don't mind. I really don't mind. And let's not take a nut of your level. Let's take a nut of Fred Phelps's level. I don't mind him at all. I don't mind him protesting funerals of military people. I don't mind anything he says.
Hang on just a second. Hang on. I mind because that does break my leg on as a family. You want to go and protest where my family isn't grieving? I as a family have a right to say, hey, out of the church territory.
Well, yes, but it all has to do with property. Of course, the big case that went to the Supreme Court, the family could not see the Fred Phelps people at all, could not see them or hear them.
Then I'm with you on.
They saw them on TV later.
That's not a problem.
But we have to get over the idea that you have a right to not be offended. I also believe the anti-abortion people are able to yell right here in my face. Able to yell, if I were to bring someone in for an abortion, they can scream right here and hold up any picture they want. If they touch me, they go to jail. But as long as they want to just do that. So I think that I don't care at all about you giving me respect and not preaching to me. I'm okay with you if you preach to me every single second we're together, providing you don't have the government behind you.
Correct. I'm okay with you trying to fill my nonsense with your atheistic crap. So I have no problem with that either. I understand that. But because you know and I know we're not trying to subvert the other.
You shouldn't cheat.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right.
The marketplace of ideas, you should be able to say whatever you want, make any points you want, but you don't get to run to dad and put a law in
right.
that sneaks around and makes you win.
Correct. So what we need to do, I think, as people who believe in the Constitution, is to start looking for allies that believe in the Constitution and expand our own horizons and we're not going to win. We would have the ultimate big tent. Because the only ones that wouldn't be allowed in the tent are those who don't believe in the Constitution.
Well, let me there's a wonderful thing that happened with the word Christian. The evolution of the word Christian is fascinating. In the 19th century, your three highest paid speakers were atheists. There was Robert Ingersoll, Mark Twain, and Thomas Huxley. Speaking of atheism. And they were brought into the White House and they were embraced by candidates because bringing an atheist in showed the voters that you weren't going to be Southern Baptist or Lutheran or Catholic. You weren't going to do any of those things. And atheists were kind of this, they were the carbon rods in the reactor that said, if we're okay with this guy, you're going to be fine with Bob's Southern Baptist cult.
See, they've gone to Mormons now. That's kind of me.
Well, no.
Now people are just like, I'm okay with a Mormon. What am I going to do?
I'm going to get there. And then you get with the atheists get attached to socialism. And if I'm given a choice between a socialist and a Christian, I think it was Thomas Jefferson that said, I won't hesitate to go with the latter. I'll go with a Christian in a second over a socialist. So atheists get tied in there. And then you get to the 70s, and Roe v. Wade comes in, and some very, very intelligent people said, we can't fight this with Catholics and Protestants and Baptists and Lutherans all disagreeing. We need an umbrella. And they kind of came up with the word Christian. The first president we have that calls himself a Christian is Jimmy Carter. Before that, John F. Kennedy's a Catholic. Others are Baptist. Others are Lutheran. But they don't use the word Christian.
I would contend I can go back. I'm going to go back and...
They don't use that word.
I will go back and look for some of the founding...
But no, the founding fathers will use the word deist, and they will also use Adams, of course, used Protestant and used Methodist.
Right.
They'll use those. I'm not saying they weren't Christian.
Somebody get David Barton on the phone.
But they don't use that word. And then, in order to fight that, you get this big umbrella of Christians, which is what gives you 70% of the country being Christian, is not breaking it up by Catholics and Protestants and so on. And then we get to Mitt Romney, and we are now adding in the Mormons are now referring to themselves as Christians and getting in there. And most atheists flip out at the direction this is going. And I say, no, this is great, because we're next. We're next. They're going to go to American. That's the next word they're going to use. And then we're okay. We're in there. We're all right. But my point is, yes, let's just keep including, because we have more in common.
But as long as there is the principle of the Constitution,
absolutely,
and because there's a lot of atheists and there's a lot of Christians. You can go to Jim Wallace. Jim Wallace would not be in this coalition because he doesn't believe in the Constitution. He doesn't understand the freedom of the individual, the freedom of rights, as you said, given by God or understood by God,
or self-evident.
Yeah, that came down, were given to us. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and if you don't understand that that's my right, that's not a collective right, that's my right. That comes from our founding documents. If you understand that, you're in the club. If you don't understand that, you're going to be a problem. You're going to be a progressive or a communist or a Nazi or something else eventually down the end of that road. Once you get off those principles, you're trouble.